There's a moment, and you know this moment, where you're sitting alone, scrolling, distracting, avoiding. The silence creeps in. And underneath all the noise you use to smother it, a simple, merciless voice speaks. You're wasting your life, not in some grand, apocalyptic way, but slowly, incrementally. Every second you let slip through your fingers, every choice you delay, every truth you ignore, it adds up, until one day you wake up buried beneath the weight of everything you didn't do. And by then, you're not just behind, you've become complicit in your own destruction. This speech isn't for the comfortable. It's not for the distracted, or the entitled, or the ones still clinging to the fantasy that someone is coming to rescue them. It's for the people who are ready to wake up violently, urgently, and realize that life is not a rehearsal, that your potential is real. And it's dying every day you don't act on it. Get up and get it done. That's not motivational fluff. It's not a bumper sticker slogan. It's a brutal call to arms, because if you don't get up, who will? If you don't do it now, when? If you keep waiting until you're ready, you're going to wait forever. No one is coming. And time doesn't negotiate. You want meaning. You want direction. You want strength, clarity, purpose, freedom. Then earn it in the fire, in the fight, not by wishing, but by willingly confronting the weight of your own responsibility. So get up and get it done. Let's dive in meaning doesn't just appear in your life like a sunrise over the horizon. It's not handed to you. It's not found in fleeting pleasures or distractions. Meaning emerges when you voluntarily accept the burden of responsibility. Think about it. The things that make life most worth living: raising children, building something valuable, confronting chaos with order, are all profoundly difficult, yet they're also the most meaningful. Why? Because meaning isn't about ease. It's about effort directed toward a noble end. You want your life to matter. Then stop asking what you want from life and start asking what life expects from you. Start taking responsibility, not just for yourself, but for your family, your community, and maybe, if you grow enough, for the world. People think freedom is the absence of responsibility, but it's the exact opposite. You only become free when you take on the burdens that shape you. Because without responsibility, you're just drifting, subject to every whim, impulse, or external circumstance. When you choose to carry a weight voluntarily, the struggle becomes transformative. You're no longer a victim of your environment. You become an active participant in creating the structure of your existence. And in that voluntary struggle, in the wrestling with burden and chaos, meaning shows up, not as a comfort, but as a compass. It's not an accident that great religious traditions associate meaning with sacrifice. You give something up. Your laziness, your comfort, your easy pleasures, and in return, you gain a deeper relationship with being. That's not metaphorical. That's biological, psychological, and spiritual reality. You were built to bear weight. You were built to act with purpose. So if you feel lost, anxious, or depressed, don't ask how to be happy. Ask what you can take responsibility for today and do it. That's where the path begins. The lie most people believe is that their future is some rigid timeline waiting to unfold. That life is something that happens to them rather than something they co-author with their choices. It's a deeply passive, victim-oriented view of existence. But the truth is much more uncomfortable and empowering Your future is malleable. It's clay, not stone. But here's the thing: clay doesn't shape itself. It requires effort. And most people are too scared, too distracted, or too lazy to take that role seriously. You're not doomed by your past unless you keep repeating it. And you're not guaranteed success just because you have potential. Everyone has potential. But very few people take the consistent, brutal, incremental steps to transform potential into reality. That requires action. Intentional, repeated action. The kind that is boring and painful and thankless in the short term, but transformative in the long term, when you understand that your future is something you build brick by brick. You also understand that not acting is itself an act. Choosing not to study is choosing ignorance. Choosing not to exercise is choosing decay. Choosing not to speak the truth is choosing cowardice. Every moment, you're voting with your behavior for the type of person you'll become tomorrow. And if you think your actions don't matter, look at the cumulative power of neglect. Look at the wreckage that accumulates when someone refuses to take life seriously for 5, 10, or 20 years. The world doesn't wait for you. It moves. Time moves. And if you're not shaping your path, you're being shaped by someone else's agenda. Your potential doesn't care whether you act on it, but your soul does. That knowing feeling in your gut. That's the voice of who you could be, reminding you that you're wasting something sacred. So stop treating the future as if it's already written. It isn't. It's being written now by what you decide to do today. Take that seriously. Avoidance feels good in the short term. That's why people do it. You don't want to face the uncomfortable conversation, the overdue task, the painful truth about your health, your habits, your relationships, so you don't. You distract yourself. You scroll. You rationalize. You say you'll deal with it tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week, and next week becomes next year, and pretty soon the thing you were avoiding has grown tentacles. It has wrapped itself around your life, silently feeding on your energy, your confidence, your peace of mind. Avoidance doesn't make problems go away. It makes them multiply. And more dangerously, it makes you weaker. Every time you run from the dragon, it grows bigger. And you shrink. The problem that could have been handled when it was small and manageable becomes a full-blown crisis. And at that point, people throw up their hands and say, "Why is my life such a mess?" But the mess didn't start overnight. It started with one ignored responsibility, one act of procrastination, one small lie. Then another, then 100 more. Avoidance is how chaos enters your life. And it never knocks. Face the damn thing. That's the rule. Whatever you're running from, turn around and look at it. It's worse in your imagination than it is in reality. You don't gain courage by waiting to feel brave. You gain courage by doing what terrifies you despite the fear. That's how you build competence. And with competence comes confidence. The alternative is slow psychological decay. You don't avoid the battle, you just lose it in advance. And the more you lose, the harder it becomes to believe in yourself. So confront the thing, clean your room, call your parent, file the taxes, end the toxic friendship. Speak the truth you've been swallowing for years. Do it now, not later. Because later is how people die, full of regret. People recoil at the word discipline. It sounds restrictive, controlling, maybe even oppressive, but that's only if you misunderstand what discipline actually is. Discipline is not a prison. It's the walls that make the house of your life livable. Without it, everything collapses. Without it, freedom becomes chaos. People think they want freedom to do whatever they want, whenever they want. But absolute freedom, unchecked by responsibility, leads not to happiness, but to despair. Try living with no rules. Wake up whenever you want. Eat whatever you want. Never work. Never commit. Never delay gratification. For a while, it might feel like paradise, but very quickly, it deteriorates. Your body breaks down. Your relationships fracture. Your confidence vanishes. Why? Because we were not designed for lives of indulgence. We were designed for lives of meaning. And meaning is on the other side of discipline. A disciplined person is not a robot. A disciplined person is someone who has voluntarily submitted to a higher order, one that prioritizes long-term value over short-term pleasure. That means choosing to go to the gym when you're tired. It means showing up to work when you don't feel like it. It means telling the truth when a lie would be easier. These are not easy things, but they are the right things. And here's the paradox: the more you submit to discipline, the more freedom you create. Financial discipline gives you the freedom to live without debt. Emotional discipline gives you the freedom to have stable relationships. Physical discipline gives you the freedom to live without constant illness. You earn freedom through constraint. You shape freedom through structure. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, and it won't get you viral fame, but it will build a life you're proud to wake up to. And that's a hell of a lot better than chasing another dopamine hit on your phone at 3 a.m. When people say they feel weak, they often confuse weakness with inaction. They say, "I can't." But what they often mean is, "I haven't tried hard enough yet," or worse, "I've already decided to fail." But the truth is, we have almost no idea what a person is capable of until they are forced to act. People have moved mountains in the face of tragedy. They've endured hell for the sake of love, honor, and survival. And that power, that capacity for strength, exists in you too. But it doesn't appear until it's demanded. You're not as weak as you think. But you'll stay weak if you keep avoiding effort, if you stay in the comfort zone, if you never do what's hard, never challenge yourself, never confront discomfort. You'll convince yourself that you're fragile, that you're incapable, that you were somehow born less than others. But this isn't a genetic curse. It's a psychological decision. You can train strength. You can earn resilience. But you can't do it while making excuses. You have no idea how strong you can become when the stakes are real. When you stop lying to yourself. When you commit fully to something worthwhile. When you sacrifice comfort for growth. That's when your real strength, the kind that surprises even you, shows up. This isn't about arrogance. It's about dignity. There's a part of you, deep, primal, ancient, that knows you were made for more. You were made to face difficulty, to carry weight, to lead. And when you ignore that you suffer, you become anxious, resentful, ashamed. But when you listen to it, when you act on it, something changes. You stand up straighter. You speak more clearly. You stop looking for escape routes and start building the road. So test yourself voluntarily. Don't wait until tragedy forces your strength to the surface. Choose it now. Lean into the resistance. Do what's hard, because that's where you'll find the version of yourself that's been hiding behind excuses. Everyone wants to achieve something big. They want to make millions, start movements, inspire others, leave a legacy. Ambition is admirable, but ambition without order is chaos dressed in a suit. If your own life is a mess, what makes you think you're ready to take on something greater? If you can't organize your own room, your own schedule, your own mind, you're not ready to organize a business, a team, or a nation. You need to clean up your corner of the world before trying to fix the whole thing. This doesn't mean you shouldn't dream big. It means you need to earn the right to chase big dreams by demonstrating competence in the small things. If you want to lead, start by leading yourself. If you want to be trusted with more, prove you can be trusted with less. There's a reason military training begins with making your bed. It's not just about cleanliness. It's symbolic. It's the daily act of imposing order on the chaos of life, and that principle scales up. Before ambition, there must be structure. You must get your internal house in order, your thoughts, your habits, your routines. Otherwise, your ambition becomes a delusion, a fantasy. You'll build sandcastles on a foundation of mud, and when the pressure hits, and it will hit, everything crumbles. Order isn't sexy, it's not glamorous, but it's the groundwork of stability. And stability is the launch pad for meaningful success. You can't skip this step. If you do, reality will catch up and punish you for your impatience. So before you try to change the world, make your bed, balance your budget, apologize to the people you've wronged, get your sleep schedule under control, show that you can rule your own life before you presume to rule others. That's not small thinking. That's the foundation of greatness. You can't unsee the truth. That's the problem and the gift. Once you really understand what needs to be done in your life, once you become fully conscious of the cost of inaction, you're left with only two choices: act or betray yourself. And that betrayal, that refusal to align your actions with what you know to be true, is soul corrosive. It doesn't just weaken your outcomes, it weakens your character. People often say they don't know what to do, but more often than not, that's not true. They do know. They just don't like what the truth demands of them. They know they need to get their health in order, but that means eating better and exercising, hard things. They know they're in the wrong relationship, but that means pain, loss, maybe confrontation. They know they're wasting time, but admitting that means dropping their illusions and stepping into the arena. So instead of facing it, they rationalize, they stall, they pretend, but inside they rot. When you come face to face with the truth, you're presented with a sacred moment. That moment asks something of you. It asks for integrity. It asks you to be honest, not just with your words, but with your decisions. Because truth isn't just conceptual, it's directional, it points somewhere. It says, this is the path. And once you see it, every step off that path becomes a conscious act of self-destruction. But if you follow it, if you obey the truth, you grow, you gain the self-respect that comes only from alignment. You become someone worth trusting. You begin to build your life on solid ground because your foundation is no longer lies or convenience. It's reality. So ask yourself, what do I know is true, but I'm refusing to act on? That's your starting point. That's the place your integrity is being tested, and you can't fake that test. You either step up or you step back, but every time you deny the truth, you pay. Every time you face it and act, you rise. You can't escape suffering. That's the first thing to understand. Life will hurt you. People will betray you. You will fail. You will lose people you love. You will be misunderstood, underestimated, maybe even hated. The idea that life should be painless is one of the most dangerous lies modern culture promotes. It sets people up for disappointment, weakness, and resentment, because the moment pain arrives, and they collapse. But here's the truth: suffering is inevitable. Meaningless suffering is not. That distinction changes everything. You don't get to choose whether life will be difficult, but you do get to choose what you're suffering for. Are you suffering because you're avoiding responsibility, lying to yourself, and numbing your pain with distraction? Or are you suffering because you're taking on something worthwhile, building something real, fighting for something true, enduring for someone you love? The person who suffers with a purpose can withstand almost anything. Look at the parent working 2 jobs to give their child a better future. Look at the athlete pushing through pain to reach mastery. Look at the survivor rebuilding their life after catastrophe. These are not victims. They are warriors. And what separates them from the bitter and broken is meaning. Meaning transforms pain. It doesn't remove it. It refines it. Like fire tempers steel, purposeful suffering strengthens the soul. It makes you clearer, sharper, deeper. It aligns your life with something higher than pleasure, comfort, or ease. That's how you become someone of value, not because you avoided pain, but because you chose pain wisely. So ask yourself, if I must suffer, and I must, what is worth suffering for? Choose your sacrifice. Choose your burden. Because when you pick it up voluntarily, it lifts you instead of crushing you. And in that burden, you will find meaning, not happiness, maybe, but something far more durable. People live as if they have unlimited time. They waste hours, days, even years waiting for the right moment to start, to try, to change. But here's the brutal reality: the time will pass anyway. Whether you act or not, the clock is moving. Your body is aging. Opportunities are slipping. Relationships are evolving or dissolving. Time doesn't care if you're scared, tired, or indecisive. It marches on, and it takes your potential with it. 1 year from now, you will either be proud of what you did with your time or full of regret for how you wasted it. That's the cold truth. And people don't want to face it because it forces them to confront their laziness, their avoidance, their fear. But you need to face it, because if you don't, life will. And life's lessons are often much harsher than the ones you voluntarily teach yourself. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. The stars won't align. You'll never feel completely ready. But the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Momentum is real, and it works both ways. The longer you procrastinate, the more your self-trust erodes. The more you hesitate, the more you train yourself to freeze. But the moment you move, the moment you take even one small action, you disrupt that pattern. Progress is built in increments. You don't need to become a different person overnight. You just need to stop wasting today. One decision, one disciplined hour, one finished task. That's how you start to reclaim your time and your life. So stop telling yourself there's time. There isn't. Not for playing small, not for waiting on permission, not for pretending that tomorrow will magically fix today. The time will pass anyway. You can either let it take your dreams with it, or use it to build something you won't regret. The human spirit is teleological. That means it's wired for aim. Without a target, you drift, you decay, you fall into nihilism and confusion. But when you aim at something, truly aim, you begin to integrate. Your actions line up. Your thoughts become focused. Your suffering gains context. That's why aim is everything, but not just any aim. You must aim at the highest good you can conceive. That might sound lofty, maybe even overwhelming, but it's the necessary antidote to the chaos of existence. You need a vision that pulls you forward, especially when life gets brutal. A vision of the best possible version of yourself. Not perfect, but courageous, competent, honest, strong, and useful. A vision rooted in reality, but pointed toward the ideal. You don't hit a target you don't aim at. And you certainly won't hit one you haven't defined. So what's your highest good? What kind of life would you build if you stopped betraying yourself? What kind of person would you become if you took every step, no matter how small, in service of something meaningful? This is not about rigid morality. It's about voluntary alignment with the sacred. You define the aim by truthfully observing your own heart and conscience. Then you act daily, imperfectly, with humility in that direction. You sacrifice what's lower in service of what's higher. That's how you evolve. And as you aim at the highest good, something remarkable happens. Your life organizes itself. Meaning emerges. Opportunities appear. You attract people of similar vision and depth. It's not magic. It's alignment. But if you aim at nothing, or worse, if you aim at cheap pleasure, status, or resentment, then you will become cynical, shallow, and weak. And the world already has enough of that. So set your sights higher, then rise to meet them. That's not ego. That's your responsibility. You have one life, one shot. And every second you hesitate, that shot fades. No one's coming to push you. No one's carrying you to your potential. You get up, you carry it, you build it. This isn't about motivation, it's about responsibility. Stand up, face the chaos, get it done. Because the alternative is a life of regret, and you were made for more than that.